Hi, this is Mato. In this video I will show you the game between Bobby Fischer and Max Euwe. The game was played in Olympiad in Leipzig. Leipzig is city in Germany, and the game was played in 1960. Opening is Caro-Kann, and Fischer had white pieces. He started with e4, c6, d4, d5, e takes d, c takes d, c4, knight to f6, knight to c3, knight to c6, knight to f3. This variation that Fischer played is called Panov attack. The Panov attack is one of the white's most popular strategies against the Caro-Kann defense. White develops quickly and enjoys a small advantage in the space. It may be necessary to accept an isolated pawn, but isolated pawn is no longer considered to be a weakness, so d4 is potentially going to be isolated pawn. Okay, let's see how the game continued. Bishop to g4, and now c takes d, knight takes d5, queen to b3 attacking the knight. Now this was opportunity for black to double the pawns on f-file, g takes f3, and now e6 supporting the knight, queen takes, knight d4, so we are now in the main line of the Panov attack. Check, knight takes, queen to c6, queen can't block because then white is winning the rook. That's why king to e7 was played, and now queen takes on b5, knight takes on c3, b takes c, queen to d7, and black would like to exchange queens, and in this variation Bobby Fischer played a novelty: rook to b1. If queen takes, rook takes. Rook to d8 was played, bishop to e3, now u takes, rook takes on b5, and white rook would like to come to b7. That's why rook d7 was played, king to e2 instead of castling. Keeping the king in the center of the board is a good idea. There is no danger for the king, and he is much more useful in the center of the board. Now black would like to get bishop in the game, so he played f6. The idea is to play king e7, king f7, and then bishop would come into the game. Rook to d1. White wants to exchange the active rook. Rook takes rook, king takes, king to d7, and now rook to b8 in case if bishop moves, for example, then rook takes rook. Okay, king to c6 was played, bishop takes on a7, g5, a4, very dangerous pawn, future queen, bishop to g7 offering to exchange the rooks, but of course Fischer is a very clever player, he doesn't want to exchange. This is check, and king must go to d5 to protect the pawn on a6, rook to b7 attacking the bishop, bishop to f8, rook to b8, bishop to g7, rook to b5, king to c6. Fischer is doing a finesse here. And now rook to b6 and king to d5. Okay, now a5 is pushed, and pawn is looking very dangerous and getting closer, only 3 squares away from becoming a queen. f5 opening the way for the bishop. Now bishop to b8. The idea is just to roll the pawn down the board. rook to c8, attacking the pawn on c3, but Fischer is wasting no time. He played a6, rook takes, and now finesse, rook to b5. And now some commentators, Ruben Fine, he suggested that king should go to c6. Okay, but Fischer would perhaps win anyway in that variation too. Okay, anyway, after rook to b5, black played king to c4, rook to b7, attacking the bishop, bishop to d4, but that was not only attacking the bishop. Fischer decided to simplify the game. Can you see the move? We can consider next move absolutely winning the game. Okay, Fischer played check, and when king moved to d3, Fischer takes, king takes, and now white can also win by pushing the pawn to a7. Black would have to sacrifice the bishop for the pawn. Okay, let's check. Then we would have this variation, should be winning for white too. But instead Fischer played different move. Can you see another move? This was the move, and black resigned. Why black resigned? Because now this bishop on d4 is pinned, can't move. If bishop takes bishop, then we would have this variation, a7, bishop to d4, queen, and white should be easily winning. Very interesting game. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope that you enjoyed it.